Hello, I'm Shantae Jennings. Welcome to our office hours. Today we're going to be entertaining questions. Rather, I'm going to be answering questions that I get all the time about starting a business, the things you have to do to grow it, and a few more. So, first, I want to start with common questions I've been getting lately, but a lot. And one of those questions is, but I think it's important, how do I validate a business idea without spending months of research? That's a tough one because you absolutely have to research your business idea to make sure it's viable. I mean, if nobody buys, you've wasted your time anyway. So there are a couple of things. Typically, just go after your audience, find out what their urgent needs are, what they're currently doing about it, what the competition is doing. But a fast way to kind of jump in and see if anybody is really interested is to form like a beta group. A beta group, you probably heard about that before. You start the beta group, really, really low cost, almost not, I wouldn't say free, because people don't, you want people to invest the actual and do the work. So I wouldn't say free. I would say, extremely discounted or something. And you write it up so that, hey, I'm going to have this small select group to go through this program in exchange for you giving me your feedback and a testimonial once you complete it. I will go through this with you for a really discounted cost or something like that. That way you get to test the program or the offer with a few people, not a large group, and see if it, how it goes. Not to mention, if it is a good offer, you'll be getting feedback that you can actively go in and change and tweak the program. That's a fast way to do it. I still advocate for doing the research because a lot of times people don't even know their target audience or what the problem is that they're solving. So that's the first one, validating the idea without spending a lot of time doing research. Another one I got a lot as a freelancer when I was doing virtual assistance work. And lately I've gotten, because people have really busy schedules, a lot of women are starting businesses while they work and have families, is how much time should I realistically expect to spend on the business each week? Now that can vary. It can also be tough to answer because when I started my business, I went through periods where I was spending like 2 hours or less a week to all the way up to like maybe 10, 15, 20 hours, which is a lot when I had a job and I commuted and all this other stuff. But it depends on how fast you want results. And I know that's probably not what you want to hear, but if you want to be up and running and getting clients, you got to jump in and do all those things that are going to make that happen that much faster. So, do you give up a lot of your free time? Yes, you will. But what's the return on that investment? They'll be faster to you getting to your first clients or your next client. So, provided you're doing the right things, which is brings me to the next question. Um, what are the biggest mistakes new business owners make in the first 90 days? I got that from like three clients that came to me and they had been in business maybe like 6 months and they felt like they had not made any progress. I will tell you the mistake that business owners we make at the beginning is that we spend a lot of time on the stuff that doesn't matter. We really do. We spend a lot of time on the stuff that does not matter, and that is part of the problem. Because we're looking at everything around us and we think, oh, I gotta have a nice website, I gotta have all these social platforms, and I gotta have this other thing set up, and I gotta have this other thing set up. Not really. You really need to be really clear about your audience, what the problem is you're solving, have a way for those people to come into your area, communicate with them, book them on a call, and then pay. That's what you really need. All that other stuff that we work on, that we're fiddling with throughout the week, it feels good because it's busy and you're doing something. It's just not the stuff that's going to get you paid. If you have to cut all those things out and just work on what's going to get you paid, marketing and sales, a way for people to find you, a way for you to engage in a conversation with them and enroll them, and get your and get paid. That's it. And then you start the deliverables, which probably doesn't take much time, or it's part of your program. So that's one of the biggest mistakes, is doing all this busy work instead of focusing on the things that will actually make you money, which are actually things that are going to get you clients. Keep that in mind. And it can stay really simple at the beginning. I know we want all these other tools just because we think we need them. You need a way for people to find you and book a call with you, and a way for them to pay you. The other things you can make happen as they come. You don't really need a lot of preparation. Now, as you start to get lots of people come in, you want some systems, you want some processes built up. But at the very beginning, when you're at zero, go ahead and just jump in. Go ahead and focus on making those conversations, making connections, because that's the part that really is going to lead people to get to know you and understand what problem you solve. And when you invite them to your offer, they're going to be more likely to say yes from that. So, like I said, the non-negotiables, the things that most new business, and I'm talking from a frame of service providers and coaches. I'll back up a little bit. I'm talking about that framework. I don't think it varies that much. Now, of course, if you have products you're selling, it's a bit different. I'm talking about service providers and coaches. Those are the things you need to get started. And the other mistake is, I don't know, women make this mistake a lot. And I say that as a woman and working particularly mostly with women, is that we undercharge on our offers. I think that's not having an offer, testing it, making sure it's focused on the outcome for the client rather than the time we've invested in it or what we think. That's a mistake. Undercharging. I rarely see people overcharging. I see that undercharging more. And it's just because they don't have clarity on their offer. Getting the clarity, once you get the clarity on the offer, what the outcome is for your client, the pricing gets a lot easier and it's more clear to the client. So when you make the offer, they understand exactly what they're paying for. So that's another mistake. Those are the biggest mistakes, and giving up when you get a couple of obstacles. I think that is probably the number one. Don't give up too soon. Now, sometimes you've been beating a dead horse. Okay, I understand that. But a lot of times we just give up because things haven't happened fast enough for us. And this starting a business is not easy. You don't know what you don't know. So you may get complicated, questions. You may get all kinds of things going on that you don't understand. It may make you feel like quitting, but that's not the best answer. I would suggest that you keep going a little. Maybe you can get some support, ask some questions, find a mentor or something that you can ask questions. Do the research. We got everything here on the internet. You can find everything on YouTube. You got questions, you can get the answers. But don't give up just because you've had some rocky, days or some challenges. Even when you arrive at a product or your offer is, you see that it's, hey, this is not viable. Then it's just a matter of tweaking, pivot, just find one that is. Maybe the one that you started with is not. That you don't really have to quit. You don't have to. It doesn't mean you failed. You just, that's not viable. Let's find one that is. That's a great outlook that I think if you truly want to be in business, you're going to figure out a way to be in business, whether it's the first thing you did or something different. The faster you can figure out if it's viable, the better you'll be. So those are the biggest mistakes I see new business have in the first 90 days. Now, after that, there's a whole slew of other mistakes, but we'll talk about that on another video. So the next question is, we just talked about it. How do I know if my business idea is actually viable or just something I like? A lot of times, actually, unfortunately, it is just something you like or something that you're really good at. The research will prove you to, will squash that for you. Actually doing the research, because most of us, we're starting with skills we already have. We're starting most likely with things we like doing. but we can be our own client, but we still need to have the feedback from others. So go and do the interviews. I think interviews, looking in forums and groups for questions, finding the resources that people are pointing to that type of problem that you solve, that's the fastest way to do that, to find out if your business is viable. And of course, I talked about hosting a beta group for that. That's another way. But having these interviews, asking people, hey Debbie, how are you? Yeah, having conversations with people will be like night and day. Because at first I just kind of like guessed, which sounds horrible. I guessed at the very beginning. I'm like, okay, I know what these businesses need, so let me just offer that. And it was like crickets. Then I started going to, where are these people hanging out? I attended conferences. I attended workshops. I looked online for things. And the things that they said, their frustrations, their challenges, the things that they wanted to know more about, that was the intel that I needed to figure out, hey, that's what they want, not what you think they want. It's still in the same realm, but there was also something I wanted to offer that nobody wanted. So did I get rid of that? Absolutely. Oh, nobody's interested in that. But let me go find the stuff that they are interested in. So there's always going to be an opportunity for you to solve problems with your skill set. You just have to be really clear about going to find the feedback from the audience, because we need to know from them directly what they want, what they hear, what they feel, what they desire more than anything else. Yeah. So, yeah, listening is crazy underrated, because your active listening is like your superpower when it comes to sales calls and when it comes to finding out what your audience wants. If you could just ask a lot of questions, a lot of the conversations I've had back before they ruined the idea of coffee chats, I had a lot of coffee chats where I just asked people questions and I just sat back and listened and kind of responded to, things that they're saying or dug deeper. That alone can give you all the information you need about your audience. Having enough of those conversations, you sit back, if you're tracking it, you have some type of spreadsheet or something, you're going to find trends in there. You're going to find, oh, well, this is what they really are looking for. These are the like top 3 challenges that they struggle with the most. I can address those. My offer will address those. I'll just have to tweak it because I was focused on these other ones. Active listening when it comes to having sales calls. Most of that is really, you're communicating with them, but you have to hear what they're really saying, what they're really sharing with you about their business, about their struggles. And I'm saying business because I'm a business coach, but whatever your um, service or coaching is, you have to listen to them tell you what they really need. Hi, Joy. Welcome. Another question that I get all the time is, I have multiple skills and ideas. How do I pick what to focus on first? Now, when we run through people in our membership with the inventory to figure out your like actual, like turning your skills into a monetized service, we help have them create a type of inventory of all the skills and then send them to go look for problems that could get solved with those skills. So if you have multiple skills and ideas, the focus should always be, okay, what problem in society right now that people are talking about or I find data about will be solved, because the goal is to solve problems. Whatever your skills and your ideas are, when people bring me business ideas, I say, show me where people want to pay for that. Show me the research you did. And they either have done it or they haven't. But then we go back to the drawing board and start to do that research, because that audience, that's the most important piece when you're deciding what to offer. You don't want to offer something that nobody's willing to pay for. You don't want to offer that people think, oh, that's nice, but yeah, that price is too much. It's because that's not what it doesn't solve a problem for them. If you get that conversation a lot, it's probably not specific, and it's not an urgent problem for them. Now, that could be that you're just pointed at the wrong audience, but it also could be that nobody feels like that's a specific issue or a specific or urgent problem at all.